Not the most pleasant of arenas, but it'll have to do.
Should equip a skill gem or two here. That would help, certainly. And, by the way, hello and welcome back to Let's Play Path of Exile, where we have re-rolled, or started a new duelist, and we're finding decent stuff already. Stuff is good. I like stuff. Who doesn't like stuff? Now, one thing is going to be that I'm going to have mana issues with this build. I know this already. There are some mana nodes I'm going to be grabbing. I'm not terribly worried about... what am I not terribly worried about?
My spirit
stuff.
is spent.
I don't know what the hell I'm
It's
talking
nice
about.
not to be dead yet.
Not terribly worried about something. Now I'm terribly worried about what I'm not terribly worried about. It's weird like that. That's like, what was I talking about? It's gonna have mana problems. I don't know. Anyway, I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But just, you know, generally speaking, this build, I'm going to have a lot of mana issues. You can see how slowly it's restoring already. I have a Pua amulet. Pow amulet? Paua? Pow? Pow amulet. Yeah, power, mana, whatever. I have a mana regen necklace on. Amulet. That's what I mean about my internet issues I talked about in the previous episode. See that big, huge-ass ping spike? And you can see I am desyncing all over the place. It's annoying. It results in occasional deaths. Anarchy and stuff I can get away with. It's only 25% XP penalty up in Merciless. But in Hardcore, or Onslaught, which is a hardcore league, it results in bad things. You can see now it's down to like a nice, fairly steady 62, 63 or so. I need level 4 for that Rain of Arrows. That will be quite handy as soon as I'm able to use it. That extra percentage on it will be nice. But most of all, Split Arrow kinda sucks until later. I don't really know where I'm going with this build, so I'm gonna have mana issues. I didn't want to go crazy buying a whole bunch of uniques and stuff to get stuff ready, but yeah, it's kind of nice just to, you know, make use of some of these low-level uniques I already have that I can't brush on my own. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this whole conversation, this whole line of thought. But essentially, at this point, I'm making a bow duelist. I don't really know why, just what I ended up with. Ranger, I honestly didn't really look at it. But I might decide in an episode or two, because I'm inevitably going to end up looking at stuff again. I just started this recording and the previous recording, because I'm doing these back to back. I started recording this maybe half an hour ago now. I started looking at builds maybe an hour before that, so I might turn around and look up more stuff and decide, hey, you know what, that looks like a lot more fun than this does, so I'm re-rolling it again. At which point I'll just kind of catch up to wherever I was with just a new character. But more attack speed, so I can burn through my very limited mana even more quickly than I already have, or do, or whatever. I'm not worried about killing stuff in these low-level zones too much, just basically if I come across a decent-sized pack. Split Arrow, like I said, not the greatest. I'm just kind of not bothering with melee stuff for 3 levels before I start using Rain of Arrows, rather. But all my little extra damage that I kind of snuck in, pretty nice. seems pretty powerful at this point. Things die pretty easily, and all in all, so far so good. Probably I keep talking about stuff. I was like, probably the biggest issue with this build is going to be mana. I'm going to have a lot of mana problems with this. It's like I've covered this. There are a couple mana nodes right near the duelist starting location I can grab that I plan to grab. That should help quite a bit. But I need another 5 or 6 passive points before I can actually get those. Now, as far as leveling goes, I'm going to be treating this kind of like a... race. I'm not going to be following the exact same plan and setup and what have you. But for the most part, I'm going to be trying to get through things at a decent pace. These are the mana nodes I was talking about. Increased mana, and increased mana, regeneration, and intelligence, which I believe gives more additional mana. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 more points I needed. Sometimes I know it, I get my numbers right. I almost said know what I'm talking about. I almost never know what I'm talking about. Let's see, this should be pretty nice. I don't know what the quality on this actually does, but 20 DPS, slightly less, but it's a full AoE rather than a 3 projectile attack. These guys are just gonna just die, basically. I'm trying to use a Quicksilver flask that I don't have. But for at least a little while, stuff is gonna die pretty easily. Just gotta get used to this delay between the shot and the impact. That hopefully won't take too long to get used to.
My spirit is spent.
Here we go. Mana issues already. As far as that hasn't been coming up more than it has. And this will get a lot better as soon as I get a slightly better bow. I'm using a crappy little low-level one, but it's basically as soon as I get any other bow, it'll be a lot better than it is now. Kind of like that one that's slightly better that I can't actually use just yet. Here's like a 31 that is worth using over Rain of Arrows for a single mob. Medium life flasks. Alright, we're starting to upgrade some stuff already. That's always good. I'm curious about the physics of these arrows. They gotta be like a strong headwind or something. It's like you stand next to something and shoot. It's like your arrows go. It's like. And then it's like, boom, straight down. Physics and all that stuff. It's kind of crazy the way those arrows just fly off into the distance, land right there.
For a better training ground than Wraeclast.
It's actually kind of like we're shooting up a flare, like a smoke sign. Oh, smoke sign. Like a bunch of flares to say, shoot here, and there's like an orbital Rain of Arrows satellite up in space. Or not a satellite. What would the magic equivalent be? A airship with a bunch of archers firing down where we shot the arrows up. Of course, we're in a cavern, so in theory there's a roof here. So I'm not sure how that works. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with all this. It's actually just nighttime, and this is just, you know, decorative stuff. That's not actually a hidden roof. There just is no roof. We're just in like a little cavernous valley thing. It's like, oh yeah, you know, mana flask. That could be helpful. Alright, and onto the ledge. I'm not going to be farming here. Just going to be doing one pass through, and I'm going to hopefully get the rocky climb waypoint. If I get that, I can... Oh no, I can go back to town already from the ledge waypoint. You run right past it, you don't have to look for it. If you miss the ledge waypoint, you're probably doing something wrong. It's really, really hard to miss it. I think it's impossible to actually, unless you like do something really weird with your screen size, it's pretty much impossible to miss. It's pretty much always going to be in view, because it's a narrow, skinny little path. One thing I do want to do, though, is get some movement speed boosts up as soon as possible. I might actually buy a pair of Wanderlust or Karui Amulet. I believe both of those give movement speed. Just because it's one of those things, you don't miss it when you don't have it. Once you have it, you start to miss it. It's like my Marauder has a amulet, not a Karui Amulet. It might be a Karui Amulet, I don't know which one it actually is. But I have an amulet that gives you extra movement speed and full health, and I have boots that give like 20 or 25% move speed, so he moves pretty fast. So this duelist feels pretty slow in comparison, especially considering I just farmed ledge a lot for like 4 levels on my Marauder. So it's like I was used to running around this exact zone very quickly. So it definitely feels a lot slower. Alright, let's head back to... Let's go get skill gem for these... not pest control. The eggs and getting into the submerged passage.
There's a fine line between... So, you open?
Alright. Fire Trap's always good. Decoy, Viper, Sweep, Ice Shot. Looks... Shield... Oh, Shield Charge. Let's say Shield Strike. Okay. Just make sure. Pass over a second time. Fire Trap it is for that
I've traveled inland.
Slot. I can't actually equip it anywhere at the moment. Any upgrades for bows? No. Any boots with movement speed? That would be nice. I don't see any boots for that matter. Oh, there's one hiding. Oh well. For now, we shall journey onward. We'll also spend a skill point. Who doesn't love spending skill points? Hopefully the second half of this ledge instance will find a better something or other. It's like, just going with melee and cleave or ground slam or something probably would have been a little faster. But like, bows, it's a bow build, we gotta level with them too, right? It's often more efficient to level with other stuff. And we leveled up again, we get increased attack speed and some dexterity. I haven't really spoken about, but there are some achievements in Anarchy and Onslaught. You can see them here on the left. Slay Rogue Exiles, own unique items, use currency items. You know, obviously they're on the left side, you can read them all.
My spirit is spent.
I was just thinking, like, yeah, you know, there's a bunch of stuff. I'm not sure what I'm gonna end up completing or not, but I'm not going to be going out of my way during the series to do those. If I run across an Exile, I'll kill the Exile. If you know, a zone takes forever for whatever reason, and there's like a handful of enemies left, I may run around to get the full clear if I don't have it. I did full clear most of Act 2, I think. And most of Act 1, it looks like. I just kind of did what's like, you know what, I'm in Merciless, or I think it was Cruel, not Merciless. You know, I'm here, I may as well just, you know, full clear some of these, make things different, spice it up a little bit. Just a nice little change of pace. And it is, you know, it's a little less run through an area, you know, just kind of kill everything in every area, and I'll probably finish that one eventually. I don't think I'll end up doing all 8, just because one of them is reach level 60 in Onslaught. The way my connection is, I shouldn't say I couldn't do it. Just playing safe and just basically grinding select few zones. Be a lot of grinding for each class, but I could in fact do that. I don't know. Something I'll have to think about. My whole sequence through would basically be farm a whole bunch of ledge, farm a whole bunch of the forest, farm some Fill Shrine, finish up Act 2. I'd finish Act 1 up somewhere along the way also to get to Act 2, of course. Farm City of Sarn, farm some docks, go to Cruel, and basically repeat that up to Merciless. And then just farm the crap out of the ledge until I hit 60. And if I don't die, then great. If I die, then, well, I'd rage quit the game, Alt F4, and then 2 minutes later end up back playing something else or starting over all again. That's what I tend to do. I tend to rage quit on deaths, and then I'm back like 2 minutes later. It's like, yeah, great. Now I gotta wait on this stupid game to load. I have a slow computer. I have long load screens when the game starts up. It takes about 30 seconds or so. It's annoying. The in-game loadings aren't too bad, but I'd rather not have to do them at all, damn it. I need to get a solid-state drive. I need to get a new computer entirely, basically. One of the big things I talked about is like, oh yeah, you know, I have faster internet now, I can stream. It's like, yeah, I can. Except that my computer takes about 70 seconds to render 60 seconds of video in real time. So, every, like, 5 seconds, the video freezes for about half a second. It's like, great. So it's annoying as hell to watch. Which is unfortunate, so putting some money aside, saving up, gonna get a new one so I can actually stream, something I want to do, I think I'd enjoy doing. In theory, with chat scrolling down beside me, my commentary would be a little more entertaining from time to time without me having to try and just make stuff up on the spot all the time. I'd have, you know, questions to answer and stuff like that. Of course, it wouldn't just be for Path of Exile either. It's I love the idea of esports. I want to manage to get into either as commentary or an analyst. I'd like to say, you know what, I'd like to be a pro gamer. I'd love to, you know, play as a pro League of Legends player. But you're just talking League of Legends, that's what I've been kind of focused on as far as the esports thing. StarCraft 2 is good as well. I played that for a while. I played that semi-competitively back when it was first released. I never really, you know, I didn't make a name for myself or anything, but my main problem was I just couldn't focus on it enough to... I got bored with it before I, you know, dedicated enough time to really improve to the point where I could say, you know what, I have an actual chance at winning or doing well in one of these tournaments, so I should spend the money to travel and participate in it. I just didn't have the, I don't know, I like StarCraft 2, but I didn't like it enough to play it non-stop like that as, in hopes that I could make something happen with it. And of course, at that point, I wasn't able to stream or anything, so it wasn't like I said, oh, you know, I'm just gonna stream myself playing StarCraft 2, and, you know, Twitch or Justin TV or Ustream, and, you know, be one of the early streamers of it. Nowadays, with League of Legends, it's, I wasn't so much just, you know, play through it, play for a couple weeks, and then a month or two, and then, you know, falls off. I've taken a break here and there from it, but for the most part, I have played it pretty consistently. I've got a pretty solid knowledge of most of the mechanics, the strategy involved with a bunch of stuff, and I'd actually done a few commentaries back in the day, watching who is now a pro player. I'm not going to go into that at the moment, but I was doing some commentary back when a pro player was just starting. He decided he wanted to go pro, and for the hell of it, I did some commentary on some games. I thought they went pretty well. My only issue was I recorded it using Camtasia Studio, which apparently did not want to record at full speed, which was so disappointing afterwards, because I was actually pretty pleased with the commentary. It wasn't, don't get me wrong, it wasn't exactly like someone was going to see it, watch it, and be like, oh my god, Riot Games, hire this guy, he is awesome. But I thought it was pretty decent commentary. Watching some of the amateur league commentary stuff, or amateur esport commentary. Amateur. Is it amateur? The, not mainstream tournament stuff, like League of Legends LCS Championship, like the big stuff where you have, like people who are actually paid to stream. It's more like the volunteer streamers for smaller tournaments and stuff. Some of them are just outright bad.
It's to be a cage fight then.
I
can live with that.
You know, you don't expect perfection, you know. Even the pro casters occasionally, you know, mix up a name, mix up the character name, you know, call an ability by the wrong thing. But for the most part, they're spot on. They're calling it as it is. But when there's a big fight happening on screen and it's like, yeah, this person died. Oh, look, this other character is running away. Oh, and he got caught and killed also. It's kind of not exciting to watch. And it's not for the fact that, you know, it's not exciting games, it's just the way the casters go about it. Some of them are just not really great at it. They need people to cast, or they don't need, but they want people to cast these smaller amateur tournaments. But it would be nice if the casters were pretty decent at it. So it's something I want to end up looking into doing and potentially doing eventually. Now I also have trouble with words and stuff. I'm thinking that if I were doing it more frequently, it would be something that just more fluently came to me. You know, occasionally getting tongue-tied isn't a bad thing. But doing, you know, a 30-minute episode of a Let's Play every few days doesn't really get you trained into the flow of things. And it also doesn't help that I'm kind of half the time just making stuff up as I go. And I'm trying to think of 2-3 things. If I'm trying to say on screen, oh, player 1 did this, it's like, that's what happens. That's what I want to say, so I shouldn't get tied up with words as often. Or who knows, maybe I do. And, you know, maybe I'll be the professional caster who has trouble with words. There's a few casters here and there who, you know, various speech issues who work through it fine. There's one guy who basically, if it's not pointed out to you, you don't even notice he has a speech issue. And because it's just so subtle, it's there. If you know about it and you sit there and you listen, it's like, oh yeah, you know, I never noticed that. When someone's mid-sentence and they combine 3 words into one, and it's like, instead of saying French fried frogs, it's like, that totally didn't work as the point of my thing. If it's like, I'm trying to say, banana apple, and I say bapple, you know, combine the words, or something stupid like that. I've done this a few times, where I think of saying something, and I decide mid-sentence to change it to something else, but the words kind of get mixed and muddled together. I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of my rant for the past 5 minutes. I'm just kind of doing whatever in the game at the moment. Not really a whole lot going on at this point, just doing these initial levels. So, me talking isn't necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, I kind of mentioned, you know, the casting would be fun to do also, but League of Legends, I think if I don't want to say had the patience to do it. If I were to just buckle down, say, you know what, I'm going to do this, and just, I don't know why I came back to Lion Eyes Watch, but it's like, I know I'm not a terrible player. I haven't done exactly a lot of ranked games, but for the most part, it's like, I know I'm at least fairly decent. Just people I've played with in the past, you know, playing with, like I mentioned, the pro player who I was, like, one of the first people, I just started watching his stream one day and kind of ended up hanging around, and I played some games with him and stuff. When you're pulled into a game with, you know, higher level players, or more experienced players, semi-pro players, and possibly pro players, when you're pulled in, you're able to hold your own, and, you know, you're playing with these guys who, they're good at the game, you know, you make mistakes, you know, part of it's being able to identify your mistakes.
My spirit is spent.
If I put the time and effort into it, I know I could be up there near the top, but I tend to just not, you know, I just kind of lose interest too quickly. It's weird. But yeah, finally, a nice new bow. I don't have the right thing. It's extra attack speed, which is nice. I can't use the stupid thing yet, of course. Level 9. But it's something that, if not, as much as I like to say, you know what, I'm going to be a pro gamer, and just go and do it, I realistically don't see myself as a pro player. I'd have to say it's a little unrealistic, but I'm just going to do a little trick here. I'm going to pull that out, swap to my offhand weapon sets, and that will continue to level in the background. Now I have a better bow. It's actually not terribly noticeable at this point. Mana flows allocated. Now I should have quite a bit less in the way of mana issues. I really need boots, or at least a Quicksilver flask. And I remembered why all this time I wanted to go back to Line Eye's Watch. Oh well, at this point I'm not really going to get into it too much. But back to the whole League of Legends topic, I've actually been considering just, you know, casting some games for the hell of it. You know, just playing taking some of my games, doing some in-depth analysis on what I'm doing wrong, what I should, just analyzing my own gameplay. So like I said, I have a pretty strong grasp of what I should be doing, but the difference between a top 10% player and a top 1% player is basically just, that might not be the best number example, but the difference between, like, the top, you know, few thousand players and the top, you know, 100 players basically comes down to the number of mistakes they make. That's really what it comes down to. Whoever makes less mistakes does better. Because you make a mistake, if your opponent sees it, it's like, oh, he's out of position, I'm gonna go ahead and beat the crap out of him and punish him for that mistake. You set your opponent up, you give him opportunities, they will take them and make use of them. So you minimize those mistakes, you minimize opportunities for your enemy to take advantage of you, and you do better. And that's basically the problem I end up running into. I just, you know, make the mistakes just from not actually playing enough. It's like, oh, you know, I realize stuff right after I do it, or how much stuff I don't quite realize I did. It's like, oh my god. You go back and watch a replay, it's like, oh my god, I don't believe I did this whole game. Oh my god, this is so bad. I have done that. I have gone back and watched my own StarCraft 2 replays, and it's like, and actually a couple League of Legends replays. Not so much for League of Legends, though. Yet. But sometimes it's just like, oh my god, I really need to not do that. That's just bad. There's no excuse for that. But sometimes that's just the way things end up happening. I'll switch to Burning Arrow. It does pretty decent damage. A little burning effect doesn't hurt, of course. Hoping that he'll die to the burning. He did not. But he died to that, so that worked out well enough. That's where I came in. I'm hoping to kill Brutus in this episode. What am I up to? 53 minutes on this recording for the audio. It is 2 episodes, so it should be okay for the moment. Keep killing little packs of enemies. Really wish I had a Quicksilver flask. And, yeah, hopefully I can find Brutus pretty quickly here. That mana flow passive, definitely helping. I'm having a lot less in the way of mana issues. You can actually kind of notice the mana pool refilling. Looks like it's about 2 per second. I can actually check that. Plus the mana gain on a kill doesn't hurt. Where miscellaneous? No. Pretty sure it says mana regeneration somewhere. Mana regeneration per second, 4 per second. Alright. I was a little off in my estimation there, but oh well. Alright, die. Firing 2 rain of arrows on your head and you don't take any damage whatsoever. I will go out of my way to kill you with other abilities. Oh, Brutus, where are you? I got some arrows to share with you. It's got up here somewhere. Oh, and this area drove me nuts. I tried doing a full clear in here. And I couldn't find the last enemy. I was looking everywhere for it. And it's like, I couldn't find it. I probably spent a good half an hour just... Shut up, Piety.
Anything for me to examine. Make sure you tell our host that Piety of Theopolis sends her regards.
What was I saying? Yeah, it's probably spent a good, like, half hour just running around a completely empty zone trying to find one enemy. Turns out that, I'm currently still in the last area. And it turns out that Brutus is also... The Warden's Chamber is part of the last area as well. So that last enemy was Brutus. I knew where he was the whole time, I just didn't realize it was him. Oh wow, this is gonna be quick and easy, and wow. I've noticed on Merciless, it's like, oh my god, that was the pain in the ass to do solo. But this is pretty decent. I can fire 2 arrows off before he tries to hook me. I'm just gonna kill him here.
Skill beats
Hey,
size
gloves, good deal.
every time.
Don't have any of those yet. Yeah, we'll identify some boots just to check and make sure that they're not movement speed. Although I don't have boots, period, so I will equip that for some little lightning resistance, max life, and some accuracy. Not bad. Alright, so we got the Prisoner Gate waypoint as soon as we leave. I think I can actually leave and I'll have this waypoint automatically. I believe I gave that as a race tip at some point, but in the odd case that that's no longer the case, that this waypoint is automatically activated, I'm gonna go to that waypoint just to get back to Lionized Arch before I end this episode, so I don't have to go back and find and kill Brutus again. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode of Let's Play Path of Exile. Next time, we're gonna collect some skill gems from these guys. We're going to continue onward. We'll probably kill Mervale. And maybe do some side quests. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, rate, and/or subscribe, and have a great day.